So, ladies, gentlemen, theys, everyone, here comes Samantha. Welcome back, Samantha. Welcome. I'm about to mute all y'all, but those of you who are co-hosts and are supposed to be co-hosts, you are welcome to do whatever you like. Unmute yourself, spotlight yourself, unpin yourself, all the things that you can do on Zoom. I think I'm probably spotlit right now, but I really prefer to watch it in gallery so I can see all of your gorgeous faces. This is episode, and remember, it's 42. Thank you, Morgan. We've been doing this for more than 42 weeks. In fact, this is a fun slide. I think, Esther, you came to the first one. This was many more than 42 weeks ago. We started this on March 16th, and the first official virtual Boozy Brunch was March 22nd. So we've had all kinds of fun, met all kinds of people from all over the globe, and we love you so much. Okay, so there's one commercial. I'm gonna ask everyone right now to grab their phone if they're not Zooming on it, if it's in arm's reach. I mean, whoever has their phone not in arm's reach. Check your calendar and see if you're doing anything on February 11th, which is the eve of Lunar New Year. My family calls it Chinese New Year. Mark told me I should call it Chinese New Year. We're from Taiwan, but you know, we're gonna call it Lunar New Year because all Asians are welcome. We're having a giant party at 7 p.m. Chicago time, and it's free to attend. We'd love for you to come. Arthur Hahn and I will be co-hosting. Arthur, who is here at Sepia and Proxy, is now the wine director at David Chang's Co. And we're gonna have a really super fun and fabulous celebration, and we'd love for you to come. You're all personally invited. All right, that's end of my commercial. Let's move this all along. I want to thank our amazing friend, Ann Trimbach, who spent an hour with us live from Alsace, got a babysitter, made choucroute with us, and also Megan, who I know is joining us today, Dr. Megan Appleman, who's our good friend and fabulous co-host, was also with us, and that was a lot of fun. But you know what? I think we're gonna talk about today now, because we are all here and ready to rumble. This is the gorgeous Morgan Olson from Time Out, who I'm just obsessed with, the best VBB mise en placer for sure, and incredible at so many things. I don't know, Morgan, what do you think about our theme today? I mean, these are the two places I'd love for us to be as soon as we possibly can be.
I totally agree with you, Belinda. I can't believe we are 42 episodes into this thing. It's been a wild year. And the theme bistro is so fun to me because though the word has roots in Paris and France, I think no matter where you are calling in from in the world today, bistro just kind of evokes this feeling of warm places that are welcoming and modest and well-loved. The booze is always flowing and the eats are always hearty, kind of like our virtual boozy brunch community that we've built here over the last 40 plus weeks. And today, I'm so excited about our lineup because we have so much fun stuff planned and something really for everyone. So we're going to tackle Dry January in style with Reve Schneider. We are going to sip wine if you're going for more of the boozy theme with Greg Castell. Got my glass going if anybody else wants to start pouring. And then we're going to move on to Chef Samantha 4. We're going to make some amazing biscuits with juicy strawberries. I'm so excited. And I'm also really excited today to introduce our new music director, Anya Wilkening. And she is on the ones and twos, providing this beautiful music that we can just kind of brunch to and relax to today. So
Morgan, should we take a minute? Because Anya was really methodic and super thoughtful about the tracks that are playing. Anya, do you want to just share for a minute? Because you really put together a super cool playlist.
That's I would love to say words. So I am actually a musicologist, which means that I just think about music for a living. It's a great way of just existing. I highly recommend it. Today we are listening to Debussy and Ravel. They are two of the preeminent French composers of the modernist movement, which you may have heard of. And I picked them specifically because they were heavily influenced by the sounds of Asia. They listened to music by an instrument known as the gamelan at the Paris Exposition. and it deeply influenced their music. So you'll hear a few pieces actually even called pagode. So this idea of East meets West, and the sort of idea of globalism that we have built in this community here, I felt that it just really fit with today's theme. So I hope you enjoy, but I do take requests either for this week or next, so shoot me an email or a DM, and I'll get your favorite song in there somehow, I promise.
That's awesome. Thanks, Anya. You know, I forgot there's one other part that I wanted to share. So if you haven't been here before, we always have a little bit of a slideshow, but it's intended to be small and minimized. And our intention is that you always watch in gallery view. So if you look at the top right of your screen, there's a button that says view. We love to watch in gallery because we get to get eye to eye with you and get connected and comfy with you. And I always use this slider between the image and the gallery of faces and take it all the way to the left. So you can see our beautiful images, but you really mostly see all of these gorgeous faces. But that's just a suggestion. We also stay active in the chat. So there's a chat button down below. If you have any questions, you're welcome to put them in the chats. All of our talent today are happy to answer any questions, I mean, about their respective professions and their businesses. Maybe even if they're open, Gregory, people like Gregory can talk about the meaning of life too. We'll see, we didn't pre-approve that. But you can also unmute yourself at any time just by pressing down the space bar, and then you can ask your question in person, which is really what we prefer, because most of us are not watching the chats because we're watching you. All right, I think it's time to make this gorgeous drink with Ravel. Claire, are we gonna get you in the game and do this?
Let's do it. Are you guys ready to stir and sip along with Ravel Schneider? I'm so excited to hear a little bit about your company, and we're making a mocktail. I'm not sure of the name, but I'm sure you can walk us through it. Ravel is the founder and CEO of Simplicity. So let's go ahead and start on this mocktail, and I'll go ahead and feed you questions along the way.
Claire, girl boss. We love a girl boss.
I'm Ravel. For the past 10 years, I worked in and around Chicago, working with restaurants and bars about how to make cocktails for their menus, also simultaneously selling them syrups in the meantime for all of their cocktails. I also taught cocktails in person about how to make cocktails at home, which is really kind of my passion. And so as COVID has transitioned so many businesses, it also has transitioned mine. So we now teleport to homes and businesses all over the world. And simultaneously, we now ship cocktail boxes, cocktail syrups, and we are getting ready to go to retail. So it's been quite a journey. There's a very long, fun story behind it. The business started out of a bad date, but ultimately here we are.
I love it.
So my whole philosophy is that, I really want to have this be a conversation rather than me sitting up here talking to you about all of these different ingredients that you have to go spend $200 to make one cocktail and you're unsure of how it will actually end up tasting. So a lot of the ingredients and even the tools that I use are things that you could probably find around your house. So the things that this cocktail is pretty simple, hence the name Simplicity Co., which is my business. But the few things that you will need, the first thing that I always do like to ask about cocktails is, do you know why you shake a cocktail versus stir a cocktail?
Anyone wanna? I do.
I do. I think if I say it, it's cheating though. So.
I'll answer. It's dilution. It's how much water you want to get into the drink and how quickly you want to get it into the drink and whether you want ice shards or not. It's all about water, really.
So the rule of thumb is if there's citrus in a cocktail, it should be shaken. If there's no citrus, it should be stirred. So if you think about it, when you cut open a lemon or lime and there's all these little pockets, what you're actually doing when you are using the ice, you're beating that flavor up and bringing it to life. But if there's nothing to beat up, why are you going to be really rough with it? So when you're stirring it, you're kind of like gently caressing it and being very nice to it. Both are ways to, cool the cocktail down and water it down. If you get an old-fashioned, a Manhattan, Sazerac, Negroni, even technically a martini, so yes, James Bond was wrong, should be not shaken. But if you get one and it's cloudy, just send it back. No, I'm just kidding. But something like a martini, I know everybody has a very specific way if they are a martini drinker.
to drink their martinis. So again, a lot of the cocktails that we do are based on flavor profiles rather than it being very specific. That way, if you are at home and you really don't like whiskey and the cocktail suggests whiskey, use whatever you do like. But all right, so now for the fun stuff. Let's get to a mocktail. So I'm going to use black tea for my cocktail, but if you have something like seedlip, which is, you're seeing pop up, which are these non-alcoholic distilled spirits. The spice one is really good. I think it tastes a lot like Angostura bitters without any, alcohol or bitter in there. So, all right, so I have some black tea that I've made here. And then we have the winter spice syrup that I make and sell. But if you just have plain simple syrup, that's great too. Then you will need a fresh lemon. So lemon and lime, not necessarily go bad, but the flavor profile does change pretty dramatically within about 4 to 5 hours within juicing. So most places that you're going that have decent cocktails are juicing fresh. All you typically need for one cocktail is about half of a lemon or 1 full lime. So just keep that in mind as well. All right. And
Renee, when you're juicing a lemon, do you cut it this way or this way?
No, so I will, I cut it so you can see the circle. And then finally, one of the nicest ingredients that I think is really underutilized in cocktails is actually either IPA or like a bitter soda. So in this case, I'm gonna use Lagunitas hop soda water. All right.
I love Lagunitas brand.
Attempt being the key word to build my cocktails cheapest ingredient to most expensive. In the off chance that I'm not perfect, which is most of the time. No, I'm just kidding. In the off chance that I'm not perfect, I'm hopefully throwing out the cheap stuff first and not the alcohol. So we are going to cut your lemon in so that you see a circle. So what you're gonna need as far as tools go. So I personally like using a blender ball shaker. I know it doesn't look quite as pretty, but you can always get the top off. Your hands don't freeze to it. So it's a little bit easier to use. A hand juicer is also really great, but a lot of people I know don't always have a hand juicer at home. So the easiest way to do this is actually with a fork. I know that seems kind of crazy, but all right, so the ingredients, now that we've got all of our ingredients laid out, the tools that you're gonna need are a shaker, you're gonna need something to measure with. You can use a 1/4 measuring cup, you can use your shot glass, or you can use a jigger if you have it. So I am gonna do 1/2 of my lemon right into the shaker. So if you can see, I put my fork in the middle of the shaker, or in the middle of the lemon, gosh, sorry. And I'm gonna squeeze the lemon with one hand and then twist the fork with the other. These are basic, simple tools that I know everyone has at home. So that way, if you are making cocktails and you don't necessarily have all of the fancy tools, don't worry, you're still okay. All right, so I've juiced this right into my glass.
Reve, you are so practical, but I gotta say, I'm dying to know about what happened on this date and how your story came to be.
Yeah, well, so I started at Gilt Bar in Chicago, and then I helped open Union Sushi Barbecue Bar. And this guy that I'd gone on a couple dates with said to me, you make such great drinks. You should show me how I could shop for my bar at home, how I could make cocktails at home. My job prior to being behind the bar was actually as a fashion stylist and a personal shopper. So I was like, oh my God, I can marry the two things I love, shopping and booze. He didn't think it was the best idea. We never went out again, but that's how I got the idea to start the business. So for $5,000, I got a website, got a logo, got a publicist, and went off to the races. And I've been doing now full time for about 10 years. So
oh my God, I love that story. It gives everyone hope that good things come out of awkward situations sometimes, right?
All right. So now I'm gonna do 1 ounce of simple syrup. And then I'm gonna do 2 ounces of black tea. Okay, and now, oops, did I forget my Angostura? If you have a little bit of bitters, this is also a great time to add bitters. Bitters kind of are to a bartender what salt is to a chef. If something's a little too sweet, it will help mellow it out, but it also does add flavor. There's such a minute amount of alcohol in bitters, you're typically okay with a mocktail. All right, so now I've got all my ingredients in my cocktail shaker. you're gonna wanna make sure you have enough ice. Ice is one of the most important elements to your cocktail or your mocktail to make sure that you break up all of your citrus. So about half or 3/4 of the way full, but don't fill it all the way to the top, otherwise it doesn't have enough room to move around. So, all right. All right, so now that I've added my ice to my shaker, I should say, if you've never had the awesome experience of putting something effervescent into your cocktail shaker, let me stop you. You may wear the cocktail instead of enjoy the cocktail because it does explode. So, all right, so now we're gonna give this for about 20 to 30 seconds. And as Taylor Swift has so gracefully said, now we're gonna shake. Finally, I personally, when I'm drinking at home, I'm frankly, I will admit, a little bit lazy. So instead of actually, repurposing or, straining over fresh ice, I'm just gonna pour right from my shaker into my glass. And then finally, I am going to top off with my, it's like a hop soda from Lagunitas. So quick splash on top there. And then if you want to, I've got some like dehydrated lemons, which are really great on topping cocktails. I've got some basil leaves. There's all kinds of different fun ways that you can garnish these cocktails. But again, it should be as simple and easy as possible. You don't need to go totally crazy. I feel like for the most part, if you put these cocktails out in front of your friends, they'd probably be really impressed. So again, it's all, for me at least, about keeping it simple but flavorful.
Thank you so much, Reve. How can people find you? Shout out your social media. We want to be able to track you down and get some of these amazing hits.
Well, I will put that in the chat. We are doing a Valentine's Day cocktail class that the box is for 2 people, and then we'll do 3 cocktails in every class. There's trivia between each class. It's kind of fun. So I will throw all of that information in the chat. The best way to get a hold of me is through my own personal social media. We also have a business social media account and then our website as well.
Fabulous.
Yeah, Reve's so great. You're a badass lady boss and we love that. So congratulations on this business and all the cool stuff that you're doing and how you're innovating. We were talking earlier, and in many ways, all of our talent for today are all disruptors. So we could have named this episode Bistro as we did, but we could have maybe also named it Disruptors. And with that being said, I get to introduce our next guest, Gregory Castell, who is the owner of Martine's Wines. And for those who don't know, Martine's Wines is a really iconic importer as well. And she was a good friend of mine and a great supporter, a young little Asian girl at the start of her wine career. So I will forever be grateful. And he has in his portfolio some real incredible stuff. So someone who has that taste level is certainly going to bring us something incredible to taste. And Gregory, I'm so excited to learn about this new label, how it came to be. I've been sipping on it. Some of us have been sipping on the white and red already for a little bit, and I'm feeling fine. So, so please tell us everything, and also how the weather is in Hawaii, Lucky.
Oh, wow. Thank you for having me. And that's the best thing you can say about the wines. I'm feeling just fine. That's great. And just as a quick note, Martine says hi.
Oh, yay!
She's a big fan of you, as you know. Belinda, she loves you. So she's getting her vaccine and she's coming to see us in Hawaii.
Oh, fantastic! That's so great. Good.
So thank you for having me on. Nice to meet you all. So License 4 is really kind of a, was born from a simple idea. I grew up behind a bar, literally. My parents owned bars and nightclubs still today in the south of France. And so they bought their first bar in 1983. So I was, 8. And I started working with my parents behind the bar when I was 12. And the bar is a village bar, so very small village, 2,500 people. We had at the time you could bet on a horse race. So in the back of the bar, it was kind of you could bet, and there was a TV, and people used to come between the boulangerie and the butcher, and everything was in the same place du village. And so people go to, buy their cigarettes and buy their meat and buy their bread and come to the bar and drink a pastis or drink a glass of wine. And as a kid, we had this wine from a really nice co-op in Languedoc, and the wines were coming in a 1 liter bottle of screw caps back in the days. Mm-hmm. It was not the best wine. It was cheap, but the idea was everybody was meeting at the bar, betting on horses and drinking wine and talking, and everybody had their bag with the baguette coming out. It was kind of, that's kind of how I remember my parents' bar. And so when we went with the idea of kind of creating a brand, we went through a lot of different kind of idea, but all of a sudden I remember the license 4 sign. And this sign is basically, the license 4, we didn't create that sign. This sign was created in 1942. And it was designed, I don't know who designed it, but by the French government. And so the license 4 is a license you have to have on your wall. It has to be bolted to the wall by the government itself. And that's the license that allows you to serve alcohol. So if you are a bistro in a very small remote village like mine, or if you are a 3-star Michelin restaurant in Paris, it's the same license 4. So if you go to Belinda, or if you go to travel to Paris and go to Le Georges V or Jules Verne, any of those fine establishments, look around and you'll see the license 4.
That's like a really fun game, actually. You know how people like to do photo scavenger hunts? Because now that you mention it, I'm trying to think in the places where I've been, like where was it? It has to be visible, right?
Yes,
so
it has to be visible. So
it's like near the restrooms or something, or is it?
It's got to be somewhere. And then, if you go to the Louis XV in Monaco, it's behind the bar. And that's, and that's the last thing it's just this kind of iconic design for me as a French man growing up in bars. That was an iconic design. So that was the idea of that, kind of recreating that's kind of this wine that is, reminiscent of so many great memories. So the idea was to go to all producers that we already work with and ask them and say, hey, do you want to do a wine for us? And they all jumped on, they loved the idea. So we went with the idea of going for 1 liter as kind of these kind of party wines. We call it 33% more fun than a bottle. And
skinny. I think it also makes me look skinnier, so that's good.
and the screw caps. But what we wanted to do is to make sure the wine in the bottle was outstanding. Because it's Martin's Wines. Martin's Wines, the importer. If you look in the back label, it's our logo. So it was important that the quality in the bottle was great. So we just went to our existing producer. The white is from Muscadet in the Loire Valley, from a domain called Domaine du Grand Mouton, Louis Météreau, that Belinda you probably know. Martin has been importing this one since 1979.
Wow.
So it's one of our staples in the book. And the rosé comes from Provence, from Bandol. The rosé is killer. So coming back soon in the spring. And then the red that you guys have is from an organic estate in Valréas in the southern Rhone, sorry. And it's Grenache, organically grown in concrete tank, very kind of fresh and kind of natural in many ways. So the idea was create those wines that are quaffable, that are fresh and easy to drink, yet providing kind of a high level of enjoyment. They are well balanced and I think provide a good glass of wine for the money.
I feel like this is so smart, Gregory. People get a little crazy, intimidated. Wine inspires so many different feelings for people, right? Like, I think selecting a wine is stressful for a lot of people because, like, oh, am I supposed to get something because it's a dress to impress Zoom? Or is this one where I'm just going to pour it in the glass and no one's going to know what I'm drinking? I think the incredible thing about this is it ticks off all the boxes. Like, there's a legendary importer, there's an incredible story, the provenance of the grapes. Because, like, a lot of my friends get a little embarrassed, right? When they, you say, what are you drinking? And they don't want to show you the bottle because they think that people will pass some kind of judgment right? Like, I think you did something, a very cool trick here, right? Like, this is the same importer that, you know, we know from Rouget and Rayos and, you know, Jaillet and like all these incredible brands. So it's kind of like you get a stamp of approval. I mean, I can't wait till the cans come. Did we talk about that yet? When are the cans coming, Gregory?
As you can see, we have a little mock-up of the cans in the back. We're very excited about this. My best friend that knows me for 20 years, is American, is like, Greg, I would never thought you'd make cans. I mean, wine in a can is just such a departure. But, you know, I thought it was a good opportunity. There's no fine French wines in cans right now. It doesn't exist. So we're going to change that. And so we're coming to market with 250 ml cans, that you can see, the skinny cans, the same design, and the same wine inside. It's exactly the same wine, different vintage at that point, obviously. So we'll have a Muscadet sur lit for the white, the Rosé from Provence 2020 is coming up, and the red will be probably next year at this point. But we're launching with the white and the Rosé, and it will probably be in April or May at this point.
I feel like too, Gregory, I mean, you're taking this like deep knowledge of Michelin 3-star level and like Wine Spectator Grand Award seller level sort of knowledge and applying that to this category, which is maybe what's so exciting. Like, listen, I've tried a lot of cans, people, Claire too, probably has sent us so many cans, and I'm never delighted, right? I have a feeling when I open your can, I'm going to be delighted.
Yeah, well, I hope you will be, and I think you will be. I don't really drink wine in cans. I've been drinking more wine in can lately to see a little bit what's out there, and it's not so pretty. And I think domestic, there's a few cool domestic brands I think doing a really good job, but in terms of imported wines, there's really nothing out there. There is flavored wines, there is really kind of an exciting Pinot Grigios and stuff like that. So the idea will be to come to market with what we call the first fine French wine in a can, which is high quality product, really cool design. It's not because you're drinking a can that you have to drink crap stuff, right? I think that those days are gone, and I think if you go to the beach, if you go to the park, and definitely now that everything is closed, we want to be outside. As soon as the spring is going to hit, everybody's going to be out in New York and Chicago.
Exactly, timing.
And so going to the park and a picnic, you don't have to bring glasses, and you're still able to get a really solid glass of wine at the same time.
I think Gregory, Daniela has a question for you.
Hi, Gregory. I have tasted a number of canned wines in the past for all those reasons that you've mentioned, for taking to the park, etc. But I've always found the wine to be to feel lifeless or a bit flat. Is it because of the quality of the wine that people are putting in cans, or is it actually the can or the package itself that creates that dullness in the flavor?
I don't think, I like to say that's the wine. I think what doing the research, I've been researching it for about 10 months before moving forward. And to me, what's really interesting in the Muscadet, the one we're going to create, is the level of, you need you need a good level of acidity. That's correct for any wine. Doesn't matter the continent or bottle, or if you have acidity, you have a wine that's a little bit more lively. But I think in a can even more. So I think having low alcohol, high acid, not wines that hasn't been touched also. And I think we can talk about most of the wines in can, because of their price point, are probably been chaptalized, meaning that they added sugar during fermentation, or they've been added enzymes, or things that to begin with doesn't make the wine lively, even if it's in a bottle. I don't think the can itself adds anything else or make that wine worse. I think the wine was bad to begin with.
Yeah. Gregory, I also want to say thank you for mentioning Barolo, because Luca Corrado just logged in from Piedmont, so yay, which is super fun. But also Emma has a question for you too.
Yeah, so similar to the last question, something that we've talked about at VinePair is when we receive wines in a can, is it better to taste it in the glass or in the can itself? Just like, which do you feel like any of the can or any of the wine's personality, I guess, or tasting notes are lost when it's transferred to the glass, or is that something that you think can elevate the wine in the same way that we would get all the flavor notes at the start on the nose in a proper glass, or just how do you think the wine will change?
That's an awesome question. I love it. I love to drink wine in a glass, not only in a glass, in the stem glass. I'm very traditional in that way. I can't stand the kind of stemless glasses. I will say that, Emma, if you taste the wine, if you really want to taste the wine for what it is, pour it in a glass, absolutely. And I think those wines will come alive in a glass because they are real wine, right? They are wine made by small family-owned wineries. They're not chaptalized, no enzymes, they don't acidify. You know, those ones are made in a very traditional way, which means that they do better in a glass always. You don't always have a glass with you if you go to the park or if you go to the beach. And that's where it was kind of important to us to create a wine that could be drunk in a glass if you're at home and you just pour it in a glass, but you're by yourself, you just want a glass of wine after a long day, and the wines will evolve and really develop in a glass and be really good, but also be really good if you drink it on the beach on a hot day in a can. And so, sure, you'll get more in a glass, obviously, that's clear, but also you'll get a lot of flavors and you get a really good experience drinking it while in a can as well.
Is there, Gregory, in your sort of research of the sort of comp set, I guess, for American cans and international cans, is there any research on like what percentage of people drink it straight from the can versus put a straw maybe, or pour it into like a Vivino, or what's the other one? Go Vino, or glass? I mean, I'm curious. I don't know, right?
So so there is a lot of research made. I don't know if valid those are, but what I noticed is that most people drink out of 375, but 80% of people that drink in can prefer 25 centiliters, the 250 ml, which is just a glass. I think the percentage of people drinking out of a can is extremely high. It's probably like 80% also.
Wow. Yeah, interesting. Well, I learned over the last couple summers that, you know, for here in Chicago, so, you know, Binny's, we have that giant store, you know it well, and they have the one section that's all the canned wines. It's kind of in the back corner in the Lincoln Park store, which is the big one. And it's all like, in the summer, it's boat owners who go there, right? So like, because boat owners, they don't want to have glass on the boats at all. So they buy a lot of the canned wines, and I see them. I'm right in front of this area called the Playpen, which Morgan knows, and any Chicagoan knows. I can hear their music. I can see all the bikinis out my window, and everybody's drinking canned wine, which I thought was so interesting. And I didn't realize that was like a little bit of a niche market maybe. But, you know, they could also be careful and just put the 1 liter in a cooler on the boat too, no?
Wear shoes, never know.
I'm loving this red. Claire, what do you think? This Grenache, whew. Very flexible. It's kind of awesome because you can have it on a list and just, it's the white or the red, but it's been selected for you. And like you said, it kind of takes away some of that anxiety. You know, this would be great, coincidentally, at brunch.
Yes. And the strawberries?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So this is an appropriate time to be talking about this because this, I think, is a great brunch wine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad you like it. And even for a Southern Rhone Grenache, it's still low alcohol and very crunchy. There's tons of fruit. It doesn't eat your head. So you'll drink a glass of that. You can still go on with your day, right? You don't feel like.
I don't know if I'm going to go on with my day if I drink this whole 1 liter myself, which might happen. I mean, congratulations. These wines are really spectacular. And we will have a moment that we have at the end now where we'll have a breakout room. So if you want to ask Gregory more wine questions towards the end, we'll have a little private area where you can do that. But he's also obviously here for a bit. So you can DM him or put any questions into the everyone part of the chat. You're awesome. I'm glad that we got to spend this time together and sip these wines.
It's a real pleasure.
Thank you, Greg.
So fun. All right, gang. I mean, it's boozy brunch, and Clara, I'm a bit boozy. So this is usually the time where we try to get some food into everyone's stomach. So Morgan, I'm going to turn it over to you because we have a chef that I'm so excited about. Yay! Okay.
Me too. And if you weren't thinking about baking along with us today, check the recipe, check your cupboards for the ingredients, because chances are you've got everything you need on hand. And without further ado, I am so excited to introduce again Chef Samantha Four of Tuk Tuk Sri Lankan Bites in Lexington, Kentucky. Samantha, welcome. We're so excited to have you baking along with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey. Okay, so in the Disruptors vein, I started selling food behind a bar, and everyone realized that the food I was selling was actually pretty great. So I got really lucky. A lot of people aren't exposed to Sri Lankan food in this country, and I've kind of taken it upon myself now to make it a normal thing. But today, I feel like getting in touch with a little bit of my southern side, because I was born in Kentucky, raised in North Carolina. So a biscuit is very dear to my heart.
Do it. I'm so excited. And this biscuit recipe looks really approachable.
It's so easy. Like I'm one of those people that doesn't want to do anything super complicated because it gives you more chances to mess it up.
Yes.
So I've got some of my grated butter already in this flour that I've put out, but I'm going to show you guys how I grate my butter. And
Samantha, this is like a revelation. I don't think I've ever grated butter before.
So much easier than like getting your hands in there and pressing it. Because now, like, if you see how light and airy this is, I can toss it with a fork and it's beautifully incorporated.
Okay, that's brilliant.
Using a microplane is the way to go, but you could use like a regular grater too if you had it.
I feel very validated because the man from France has said that that's brilliant. So
You changed my life. You changed my life. What were you for the past 20 years?
They never do that.
And so what I'm going to do with this 2 cups of flour, self-rising flour, if you don't have self-rising flour, throw some baking powder and some salt and some leavening in there just to make sure that your biscuits come up to height, if you will. And I'm going to put about a cup in here. And now I am not measuring. And I know that normally with baking, that's kind of a faux pas, but biscuits are kind of by feel. So I'm going to use my fork to kind of work this in here. And as it gets sticky, you might need a little bit more. But what you want is a really pliable, easy to work with dough.
How worked in should the butter be to the flour before we start dunking this?
It doesn't need to be super worked in because you're going to roll it out. And so when you roll it out, that butter is also going to compress a bit.
But also, Samantha, like normally these kinds of recipes, they say like cube the butter, and then I don't have a Cuisinart or whatever, the cool mixer, and then I'm doing it with my wood spoon, and I'm not paying
Do it with your wood spoon.
Yeah? Okay.
Do it with your wood spoon. I ain't mad at that. I'm using a fork.
All right. Let's do it that way. I'm still grating butter.
That's fine. That's fine. It shouldn't take you very long, but if you can see, my dough is getting kind of, it's kind of well incorporated now. Yeah. So I'm going to turn it out onto a floured board, and I might flour it just a bit more so I don't get it all over my hands because right now it's a little sticky. There we go.
Dude, Samantha, you're doing this at like Today Show speed. We're slow, so. Take a sip of the champagne and then we keep going.
Okay, and then I have a little bit of champagne with a strawberry because like everyone, I'm a little brunched up too. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay, that's genius because we're going to incorporate champagne into this recipe with the strawberries too, right, Samantha?
I like to keep it easy.
I'm gonna put my license for Grenache in.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes.
Just gave me a thumbs up. Listen, I love cooking with leftover red wine. This is my thing.
Do it. Do it. All right, I'm flouring the top of this. I'm already out on the board.
She's out on the board, people.
I'm on the board. I'm on the board, y'all. I got to show you guys another biscuit trick. It's very important as I get it all over myself.
Yeah.
So I know that Belinda, you saw my biscuits this morning that were super duper flaky.
Yes.
Now in the recipe, like a jerk, I totally forgot to tell you guys how to do that.
Well, that's why we have you here in person in real life to help us.
It's all about the Listen, it's not about the webinar. We want to like sit here, stare at you, make you start and stop. This is what BB.
That's what I'm here for, baby. That's what I'm here for.
We love it.
So I'm folding this dough as I flatten it out, and I'm kind of laminating it, but very simply.
So are you doing thirds on that, Samantha? Is that what I saw?
I did thirds, and I'm doing another third and another half. I mean, I just kind of go for it.
I failed the lamination. I failed the croissant class. So like this whole lamination.
This isn't a croissant, sweetie. It's going to be so much easier.
People also always talk about lamination. What does that even mean?
They're folding it so you have layers of dough. So with a croissant, typically someone's using something called a proofer. And so it'll roll it out flat, and it'll roll it out flat, and then you can fold it and roll it out flat, and it makes your life a lot easier. I don't have the patience for that with a rolling pin. So I fold it a couple times, and then I just let it be.
I love it.
I really
So I'm gonna
like
grab a little
with you. You make this feel so approachable.
Everybody, like, it's so easy to cook, and it's so easy to cook for your family and for your friends. And honestly, how my business got started is I was throwing brunches, and I couldn't get people out of my house. So I would invite 9 people for brunch, and the last one that we had in February of, I think, 16, there were 34 people lined up outside my door at 10 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know some of them. And Kentucky, that's a little odd. So.
Well, Samantha, that's so much a part of, I've only had the pleasure of dining with a true Sri Lankan feast once, but that was such a part of it, was like the sense of community and wanting to feed people, and you just stay as long as you want, and we will make sure that you go out of here with a full belly and you are happy.
That's the thing. And I feel like Sri Lankan food is really about creating your perfect bite, which is kind of how I approached this today. I wanted something that was a little Valentine's-y, but you could sub in something if you're not drinking, and, you know, still make it beautiful and wonderful. So I'm going to roll this out just a bit.
This might be your Valentine's Day breakfast with Michael, right? Like a little situation.
Valentine's Day.
I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have a little sous chef here.
Snout's at just the right level to pick up.
The snout is, she's just like, what you doing? All right, I'm just going to keep on folding this because I can, but see, it's nice and soft and pliable and easy to work with, and it's not falling apart, and I can throw it up and down and not hit myself in the face.
It's a happy looking dough.
It's just, you know, you shouldn't overwork it, but you should make it easy on yourself because, you know, it's brunch, and we've had champagne, and we have had wine, and we're making all of these things work, right?
Yes.
We love it.
So I'm going to grab my knife, and I'm going to cut these into squares, okay?
So what size is your dough rolled out to right now, Samantha?
About a 12 by 12 right now.
Perfect.
And now it's down to
I'm going
to cut it into 6. So we can have big biscuits, because everyone likes a big biscuit, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that sounded like a really inappropriate euphemism.
Big biscuits.
Big biscuit energy.
Big biscuit energy. I want you guys bringing big biscuit energy to this whole situation.
We like big biscuits.
So I've cut mine into 6. I've got my little parchment paper lined pan. And you can put them far apart if you don't want them to rise up super high. But if you put them close together, they like to climb on each other.
Ooh.
And so biscuits like to cuddle. They like to use each other to get to higher heights. So biscuits love a good cuddle.
Wait, Megan, so is Nina's usually sous chef Sitch.
She took over. She just jumped in. I grated the butter, turned around, and she had dough. It was amazing. Everyone needs to get a bestie like Nina.
Nina, you're the best neighbor, the best everything.
I'm going to grate some butter over these
behind
too.
The scenes.
Ooh, Samantha, you're doing grated butter over them too?
Yeah, because you want it to be buttery and wonderful and delicious, right?
Oh, I'm here for that.
I'm gonna toss these into my oven. Well, because like I know we got to have a magic of TV moment here, you know.
Yes.
You got the chef kicking around. You might as well get the magic of TV.
We love the stunt food.
Yeah. So first, my chopped strawberries are going into my powdered sugar. I'm gonna put a little bit of champagne or sparkling wine or cider, apple juice will work too.
Grenache, we're putting Grenache.
We're putting Grenache in. That's totally fine. And I'm gonna mix this up and just let it sit.
Yes, get them nice
because it's gonna thicken up just a little bit with that brown that powdered sugar. And I might have put a little bit too much champagne in, but I'm not mad at it. So
no, that's okay.
So now your strawberries are pretty much done until everything comes out of the oven. And then you get to make whipped cream. Now I've used an ISI for this. It's very easy to use an ISI. Not everyone has one of those at home. We want to make this easy. If you got a really strong forearm and a whisk, you can make this happen. I am a wimp, so I'm going to use my mixer, and I'm going to pour about, that's about a cup. About a cup of that.
There's nothing better than homemade whipped cream, right? Like,
yeah,
you got to do it.
It's got to be cold, though. It's got to be cold.
Morgan, are you hand whipping? What's your whipped cream stitch?
I want to see this.
Hand whip, but I got to wash my hands first.
Yeah,
Samantha, before I forget, how long are these biscuits in for?
I think about 15 minutes, maybe 17 minutes. You want it to have a little bit of color on the top.
Yeah.
And somebody's asking a question that I can't read because I'm half blind.
Who is it? We'll put him up on screen.
Cool.
We'll find it. We'll find it.
Okay, someone's telling us that our bowl and our beaters should be cold too.
They're correct.
Nice.
I throw mine in my garage because my garage is like 38 degrees right now because it's winter.
That's so smart.
It is smart.
Yeah, it's easy. That's where I put my wine chiller too. So I'm going to cut this mixer on. You might need to mute me for a second. And then I'm going to pour about a half a cup to a quarter cup of champagne in here, or sparkling wine if you've got it.
For just a second, so go ahead. Someone, Morgan, when we were talking earlier, was saying there's a good proportion of baking soda and salt to add if you're using AP flour, right? Or if you're not using soda.
Right. I found a recipe actually, and it was for every cup of AP flour, it's 1.5 teaspoon of baking
soda.
Soda. And then a half a teaspoon of salt.
Powder. Soda is the Arm & Hammer one, right? It's powder.
It's powder.
Hey, Claire, would you put that into the chats?
Absolutely.
Yay, that's so helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Converts anything.
I have 10 types of flour, but I still didn't know. I still didn't have self-rising.
This is why I love this recipe, is like you can truly probably just like wake up in the morning. If you're craving biscuits, you probably got everything on hand that you need. Just throw some butter in the freezer to get ready to grate, and it's just like we're halfway there. So I love it.
Mark Chi, can we also comment on Morgan Olson's gorgeous lipstick situation today?
Mark, I did this for you. Taking it all the way back to the beginning of Virtual Boozy Brunch when Mark taught us all how to apply lipstick to brighten up our days.
Zoom makeup, Morgan. Oh my God, we've been doing this for a really long time.
I love it.
No, I think it's super fun too. So are you whipping? Are you whipping? What's happening, girl?
I'm not whipping yet. I've got my strawberries ready, stewed, and I've got my biscuits in the oven. Yeah, the next thing I've got to do is whip. Are you whipping?
I see Mark and Dustin. There's whipping going on over there in New York.
Yes, I see Samantha's is like getting whipped right into shape. Yes, that's the way to do it. I might pull my KitchenAid up here in a second.
I mean, for those who are joining us for the first time, and we have a lot of newbies, which makes me so happy. I mean, part of this Virtual Boozy Brunch thing, Morgan, for me is like, I just like not cooking alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sheltering in place at home by myself, and it's just really fun to have friends to sort of cook with, right? Like at all the parties we used to throw, everyone was in the kitchen anyway. And then I also am obsessed with the fact that we have like a super uber pro like Samantha. We can ask her questions.
Yes, I was just going to say, We have tried and we have made things in virtual Boozy Brunch that I would never attempt on my own. And as much as I hate to say it, Samantha, I would probably be too scared to do biscuits even on my own. And so doing it with you here, with everybody else trying it for the, maybe first, maybe not time, it's just so fun to be able to do something like that as a group with a total pro in the house to help us out along the way.
I'm going to try to unmute you now. Do we need to, I think
Yeah.
someone's going to need to press it.
Let's see.
There we go.
I gotta say, me and Nina were a little bit like, shit.
There we go.
Over here, we were like, holding, what are we doing? How do we do this? And then we looked at each other, we're like, oh wait, she's gonna come on and teach us in a couple minutes.
My favorite. All
So
right.
I haven't let the cream beat to a full moment, but if you can see, it's got that kind of nice consistency starting to form. Air bubbles are getting incorporated. If you notice, I didn't put any sugar into the cream. And I know that you can add powdered sugar if you really want, but I'm going to magic of TV, you guys. Is that all right?
Do it.
Yes.
Okay.
I love it.
All right. So thanks to the magic of television, we have a completed little plate of biscuits that I've been snacking on all morning because they're biscuits. I mean, come on. So how we're going to assemble this is pretty easy. And I think I might have to con my husband into coming and trying this first because I always.
Woohoo!
So when you do your biscuits all flaky like that, they really split easily.
You guys, so Sam put this up. You should follow her Instagram. She put up a picture of them this morning, and I was like, I can't wait to have those. I mean,
they're so easy.
No, it's not. You're just so smart, and your recipe is so good. That's not easy.
But that's an easy recipe makes the world of difference. You shouldn't have to complicate food to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I love your sous chef behind you too right now, Samantha.
Oh, this is Loretta.
Shadow.
This is Loretta. She's wearing a snood right now because she thinks she looks fabulous in pink.
Oh my gosh.
We do too.
She's sitting very nicely.
We
Oh,
love
they're
it.
up there. Oh, and the other one's coming. Now they think that I'm giving them food, so you're going to see all these dogs just gathering.
Mark and Dustin have some cream to show, and there's some strawberries.
Let me see.
My hands.
There you go. I love it. Got the arm power there. That was amazing.
Soup's impressive. Soup's impressive.
Soup's impressive. I love it. I'm going to grab a plate because I probably shouldn't serve my husband something on a board. If my mother is watching this, she's probably going to get my head. So, which, by the way, Belinda, she totally called while we were on this, and it made me think of our common bond of always loving to talk to family all the time.
That's right. Multiple times a day. Yep.
Multiple times a day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take a little bit of this cream.
My mom's video off.
Oh, no. Come on, Mama. I got to meet Mama the other day. So I've got these little soft cream peaks.
Nice.
And take my strawberry champagne mixture, and I'm just going to spoon it over, and some of it's going to mix in with the cream. And that's my source of sugar.
Wow, that makes total sense. Get the sweetness from the berries.
It makes it easier. A little bit of powdered sugar to help it along, but and then we're just going to put a little hat on it.
Oh.
We're just going to put a little hat on it, and then I'm going to be like, husband!
Your order is up. I love it.
Do you want to try it? Do you want to try it all in one bite? This is my husband, Chris. Ready?
The best taste tester ever.
He likes it.
He approves.
He likes it. He likes it.
10 out of 10.
Okay, that's where.
Hey Samantha, while we're all kind of getting our cream whipped into shape and our biscuits baked, I'd love to hear from you about, I know you work with Lee Initiative, which has been so insanely helpful during this pandemic. Tell us a little bit about what you do for Lee and what Lee has done for restaurants all over.
So LEE initiative stands for Let's Empower Employment, and that is what we have tried to do across the industry since the pandemic began. I joined up in about April doing all of the sort of technical, website sort of things to get everyone coordinated. But, Lindsay and Edward have really created an amazing system where we are paying restaurants to feed out of work industry folks. So it keeps the restaurants open, it keeps the food chain, it keeps the food supply chain going. As the pandemic starts to wane, I hope, it will be more of a focus to make sure that those small farms and those restaurants both survive and are able to, depend on each other for product and depend on each other to keep all of those connections alive. Whereas like some of the farms that I'd called had lost 70% of their wholesale business. And so it's not just, we're trying to help the industries that have gotten hit hardest. In Chicago, we have a program with the Touring Professionals Alliance that has been feeding out of work music industry and touring industry professionals. But it's like, basically I call Lindsay and she says, I want to make sure that everyone gets fed. And so that is a very Sri Lankan way of life. That is a very me way of life. I want to make sure everyone gets fed. So it was a no-brainer to join on. And it's honestly been probably the most rewarding job I've ever had in my life.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. You are going to look back on this time and just be so proud of the work that you've done. I mean, I'm going to be amazed I have hair, because it's just been it's been building the plane as we've been in the air, as everyone has done, and everyone has been going through all this crazy stuff. But I'm so grateful that I can at least try to have some sort of positive impact on an industry that has basically fostered my dream. I would not be here if it weren't for independent restaurants supporting a pop-up concept and taking that chance. Independent restaurants are what do that. And that's why I'm so bullish on them getting support.
Yay. Tears.
Bravo. That's amazing.
We're not supposed to cry, but
it's a happy brunch.
Yeah, it's
a happy brunch.
Tears of joy for magical people. So everyone here, thanks Morgan, thanks Samantha, thanks to everybody that was cooking along, so fun. So what we do now in this new iteration of Virtual Boozy Brunch is, if you want to spend a couple more minutes with Sam, we have a breakout room and you can go to any breakout room you want. There's also a breakout room called Wine If You Want. So if you want to go and ask Gregory any questions or, chat about wine and be your wine geek self, please send yourself there. And then we also have a chat room called Simplicité, I guess, right? Simplicité. If you want to talk like dry January ideas and learn a little bit about Reve's business and her syrup. So everybody right now, hit breakout rooms on the bottom of your screen and go to a breakout room. And we'll see you in just a couple minutes to wrap up this episode. Bye. Well, listen, we're a couple minutes over time, but of course we always leave this open after. And as Anya and everyone who's been with us for all these weeks knows, that we have to do like a little goodbye. And I'm hoping Luca Corrado's here, and if he goes off of on camera for a minute, I just wanted to say hi to him.
He's still in the breakout room. He's coming out.
Come on, Luca. So, Anya, we do have a slide for thanking everyone for this week. And we'd love to put that up because, wow, what an incredible lineup we had this week. We are so grateful to have had Reve Schneider with her amazing business, Simplicity. We were so lucky to also have Gregory Castell and Jenny Mass from Martine's Wines, and to learn about this license for. Just so you know, Team Martine's, Anya, and many other people in other parts of the country will definitely be reaching out to you. I know Anya wants to know where to buy that Muscadet. She's in Cape Cod, so if you can let her know. I know there's orders coming your way.
I have some oysters to eat, so I need to place an order.
She needs to place an order right now. Yeah, lots of friends in Wellfleet and lots of restaurateur friends in Wellfleet that need this. And it was so much fun. I mean, Samantha I'm obsessed with you. Next week, I just want to share really quickly, we're going to have Angeline Templier, 3 generations of women running a champagne maison. Super excited. And we also have Jimmy Pots and Pans. Claire, what should we expect from Jimmy Pots and Pans?
Jimmy Carbone. Well, he's a one-man show, so we could expect anything. He's got a lot of energy. It will be very fun for us at brunch.
Cool. I love it. And then Luca Corrado is going to be joining us from Piedmont, one of my favorite Italian families and Italian winemaking families from the epic Vietti, and we'll be cooking with them and drinking wine with them, and I cannot wait for that.
Can't wait.
We're so excited. So I hope that everyone will be back next week and the following week, because you know, this VBB thing, we can't stop. So we love you all. I hope that everybody still has something in a glass. I mean, I'm gonna pour myself some more right now because I'd love to raise a toast. We just had an article in the Blackberry Farm magazine about how to toast. So I feel like I should just, you know, keep the toasting going. So let's raise a glass to Sundays, and the Sundays that we loved before, where many of us got to have brunches together, and the Sundays that we love now, because we do get this opportunity on screen to connect and support small businesses and some of the people that we really love, and to the Sundays in the future, because, you know, I'm going to book a private jet and I'm coming to see all of you and picking up everyone. And then we're going to...
You can drive, Belinda. You can drive.
Okay,
just start driving.
All right, well, I'll start driving. Or, you know, we're just all going to end up at, you know, Gregory's place in Hawaii. I mean, who knows?
It's a little hard to drive to Hawaii.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, everyone.
Happy Sunday. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.